My name is James Walls, and I am the mayor of District Heights, Maryland. And this year, I serve as president of the National Black Caucus of Local Elected Officials. It is an honor and a pleasure to be here with you this morning. I would like to take another moment to thank our soon-to-be keynote speaker, who will be here, Michelle Bernard. Let's give her a round of applause. It is great to have our traditional diversity breakfast at the NLC and to present the annual NBC Leo City Cultural Diversity Awards. The officers, board members, and general membership of the National Black Caucus of Local Elected Officials take pride in this endeavor for the inspiration and meaning it has for communities. This program was developed by NBC Leo as a way to acknowledge and nationally recognize the innovation and commitment that our local municipal leaders have demonstrated to implement cultural diversity programs. The focus of our award program is on how we can promote the positive concepts brought about by diversity in our cities and towns. We are very proud of this program and want to express our gratitude to NLC and its full support in carrying it out. A major reason for this success is the support we receive from our NBC Leo Awards program judges. At this time, I would like to introduce our program chair, Councilwoman Priscilla Tyson from Columbus, Ohio, who will introduce the judges. Let's give her a round of applause.
Thank you, James. And also, I want to recognize Mayor Becker, who opened the breakfast this morning. So, with that, I'm sorry. And I also want to thank our president, NBC Leo, President James Walls. I'm pleased to ask the judges to stand and ask you to hold your applause until everyone is introduced. This talented group of NLC members come from the National Black Caucus of Local Elected Officials, Women in Municipal Government, the Asian Pacific American Municipal Officials, the Hispanic Elected Local Officials, and the gay, lesbian, bisexual, transgender local officials. They have generously shared their time and their talents to help us develop and judge this year's awards program. From NBC Leo, we have Council Member Aldwin Samuel from Beaumont, Texas. From the Asian Pacific American Municipal Officials, we have APAMO President Suzanne Chen. Vice Mayor from Fremont, California. From the Women in Municipal Government and NBC Leo, I want to recognize Ms. Sharon Fields, who could not be with us today, but she is a councilwoman from East Orange, New Jersey. And from the gay, lesbian, bisexual, transgender officials, we have Councilmember Greg Pettis from Cathedral City, California. And from the Hispanic elected local officials, I also want to recognize Hilo First Vice President Joe Navarro, who's a council member from Tempe, Arizona, who could not be with us today. So let's give them all a round of applause. And so we've all come here today to hear the award winners, and they have just done fantastic work in their community. And we're going to begin this ceremony and announce all the second place winners from each population category to come forward and then receive their award. And I'll now turn it back over to James.
In our less than 25 population category, the second place goes to the town of Pembroke Park, Florida, for their unique project titled Pick Music. Accepting this award is Commissioner Howard P. Clark on behalf of Anita Wexler, City Commissioner. Let's give them a round of applause. Real quick, go ahead.
Okay. Well, I can't refuse a mic. Okay. On behalf of the town of the wonderful town of Pembroke Park, Broward County, Florida, we accept this award of recognition for our cultural diversity. We are proud that we involve all aspects of our community in our day-to-day operations. We have no boundaries in our town, and everyone works together for a sense of community. Your recognition of our picnic music program reflects a very unique aspect of our town. Our friends, the Canadian visitors, are an important part of Pembroke Park. On behalf of the French-Canadian residents, merci beaucoup. Thank you very much.
Now moving on to the 25,001 to 100,000 population category. The second place winner is Petersburg, Virginia, for their engaging project International Film Festival. Accepting the award is Brian Little, Sr., the Director of Legacy Media Institute. Let's give them a round of applause.
Everybody else go.
Konnichiwa, hey jumbo, hola, que tal. Thank you. Good morning.
Moving on, coming in second place in the 100,001 to 400,000 category population is Bellevue, Washington, for their fascinating program, Bellevue Diversity Initiative, the Diversity Advantage. Accepting the award is Council Member Conrad Lee, also an APAMO member. Let's give them a round of applause.
Well, good morning. Really, it's my honor to be here. Since Bellevue, since I came 20 years ago to National League of Cities, the city of Bellevue has really transformed, changed. We had less than 10% about diversity, but now with a population of 133,000, we have 40% ethnic diversity in our city. And 1/3 of our population were foreign-born. And with all this change, we're still maintaining a high quality of community environment. Almost over 60% of adults have a bachelor's degree. So it's amazing how we have made progress. And I want to just quickly mention Bellevue is a city that welcomes the world. Our diversity is our strength. We embrace the future while respecting our past. So thank you very much, and we are honored, and thanks to NLC and President Becker, all you friends and colleagues that help us, help the whole country to be what it is today. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And now I am pleased to announce the first place winners for this year's awards. In first place, for less than 25,000 population category, is District Heights, Maryland, for their extraordinary project, Life Matters. And accepting the award will be Dr. Beverly Sargent, who is the Executive Director of District Heights Family and Youth Services Bureau. Real quick. Thank you, everybody else. This is the first place winner.
Thank you so much to NBC Leo, and I want to ask everybody at my table just to stand up or to wave. This is the staff of the Youth Services Bureau, which Life Matters would not be possible without them, and even two of the facilitators are here with us today. So again, thank you so much. Life Matters.
And now in first place for the 25,001 to 100,000 population category, we have a tie. So first, I would like to call up from Cupertino, California, for their outstanding project titled Cupertino Block Leader Program. Accepting the award is Laura Dodamden Lee, the Community Relations Coordinator and Project Manager of the program.
Thank you so much. This is such an honor to our small city of Cupertino. I'd like to hear the statistics of how much our cities have grown. And in Cupertino, when I started in the early 90s, our diversity was probably a little over 30%. Now we are over 60% diverse in Cupertino of our population of around 60,000. So again, this is an honor for our block leaders, our neighborhood leaders who do everything in communicating with their neighbors and making sure that they're safer and more connected. I proudly accept this for them. Thank you so much, and recognizing our council member Gilbert Wong too in the back there. Thank you.
And the tie also was with Beaverton, Oregon. Also, who gets first place today for this exceptional project titled the Cultural Inclusion Program. Accepting the award is Mayor Denny Doyle, as also an NBC Leo board member. Congratulations. Thank you.
You got the name right, too.
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah. Well, good morning. Good morning. It's only about 4 o'clock back where we're all from, but I'd like to thank all the selectors who went through and looked at what we're doing. We're rocking and rolling on this topic, and 1 out of 4 people in Beaverton was not born in the U.S. And 2 years ago, our kindergarten class became the first non-white majority kindergarten class. So we're a pretty diverse city for Oregon. And I'd like to thank our council members who are here. Without their support, it wouldn't happen. Kate Arnold, Mark Fagan, Lacey Beatty. There's a lot of people in the city that really get it. Our program coordinator is second to none. And we're so proud of embracing how the world's changing. And as I travel, you can see the diversity everywhere. And we're getting back to what made America great. People like my mom and dad came from other countries. And it's just special that we're finally figuring out that's how we reestablish ourselves in the world. So thank you very much.
And the first place winner for the 101,000 to 400,000 population category is Gainesville, Florida, for their inspirational project titled 2013 Youth Diversity Summit. Unfortunately, Gainesville could not be represented here today, but we want to accept the award, and let's give them a round of applause. And now I am going to ask James to come back to the podium.
Thank you, Priscilla. Please, let's give a round of applause to all of our first and second place winners. And once again, we want to thank our program chair. She did an exceptional job, Councilwoman Priscilla Tyson, and all the rest of our program judges, and all of the city representatives who have traveled here to Washington, D.C., and have come to accept their awards, and to all of the Diversity Award applicants, to the staff in your hometowns who carry out these wonderful diversity programs, and to NLC. Now, at this time, we're going to ask our president, Mayor Ralph Becker, to please come back up, and he will introduce our speaker. Let's give him a round of applause.
We are certainly coming together this morning to recognize the many positive aspects of diversity and how it greatly affects our leadership in local government. Many of our cities are continually developing programs that assist us in achieving a better quality of life and a better understanding of our changing populations. That's what diversity is all about, and we're certainly seeing it reflected in the awards that have been given in recognition of that this morning. This event was first held in 1984 when it was known as the NLC Minority Caucus Breakfast. It was established by NBC Leo, and in the years that followed, NLC's other constituency groups, Women in Municipal Government, the Hispanic local elected officials, the Asian Pacific municipal officials, the gay, lesbian, bisexual, and transgender local officials, have been welcomed at the table as co-sponsors of the event. And I want to take, obviously, this opportunity to congratulate all of those groups on behalf of the National League of Cities for their partnership with NLC and in helping convene this session for all of us to enjoy. It's my pleasure to also introduce this morning the officers of NLC. Councilmember Melody Colbert King, who is of Joplin, Missouri, the mayor and council member at various times, has been one or the other. NLC First Vice President. And Second Vice President, Matt Zone, council member from Cleveland, Ohio. And let me also quickly introduce the leaders of the 5 constituency groups. Mayor Suzanne Chan of Fremont, California, President of the Asian Pacific American Municipal Officials. Councilwoman Luana Mayfield of Charlotte, North Carolina, President of the Gay, Lesbian, Bisexual, and Transgender local officials. Mayor Oscar Trevino of North Richland Hills, Texas, the President of the Hispanic elected local officials. Hilo? Oh, there you are. Thank you. Mayor James Walls of District Heights, Maryland, the President of the National Black Caucus of elected officials. You've got triple duty this morning. And Mayor Mary McCumber of Oak Park Heights, Minnesota, the President of the Women in Municipal Government. I also want to note and thank Priscilla Tyson of Columbus, Ohio, who, of course, has been up here and is chair of the 2015 NBC Leo City Cultural Diversity Awards Program. So thank you, Priscilla. And Clarence Anthony. There you are. It's hard for Clarence to hide. Of course, who's the executive director for the National League of Cities. So let's, again, join me in applauding all of the achievements of these leaders, their respective groups, and for their contributions to the widely diverse NLC circle for which we're all proud. So now I have the privilege, or are you going to do this?
You have the script, go ahead.
Okay. I was going to say, I thought maybe you're ready to go here.
I can do it.
Hey, I want everybody to know Clarence has a new suit for today. It's now my privilege to introduce this morning's keynote speaker. Michelle Bernard is chairman, founder, president, and CEO of the Bernard Center for Women, Politics, and Public Policy. Ms. Bernard is a frequent political and legal analyst on MSNBC and other television networks. She is a regular political analyst with Hardball, Up, and The Daily Rundown. Additionally, she appears on HBO's Real Time with Bill Maher and the McLaughlin Group. She is a regular guest commentator on BBC Radio, National Public Radio's All Things Considered, and Tell Me More with Michelle Martin, and is a contributor for The Hill's Political Pundits blog, Huffington Post, and The Washington Post. She's the people. Incredibly busy person. An attorney by training, she concentrates on domestic and foreign policy matters. As a political and legal analyst, Ms. Bernard has spoken on topics as varied as the historic 2008 presidential campaign and election, various congressional and gubernatorial campaigns and elections, the political participation and voting trends of African Americans and women, education reform and school choice, energy policy and security, foreign policy and national security issues, the war in Iraq and advancing democracy, economic liberty, and the human rights of women and ethnic and religious minorities in the Middle East. Prior to founding the Bernard Center for Women, Politics and Public Policy, Ms. Bernard was a partner at DC's Patent Boggs LLP. She holds a Bachelor of Arts degree in Philosophy and Political Science from Howard University and a JD from Georgetown University Law Center. So please join me in welcoming the remarkable Michelle Bernard.
Good morning, everyone. I also wanted to note that Clarence has on a fabulous tie. I've told him I want to steal it from my husband. Thank you so much for offering me the chance to speak to all of you today. I'm really, truly honored to be in the company of such brilliant minds, and I thank you for your gracious hospitality. I ran into one of my former students. I used to teach legal research and writing at Howard University Law School, and one of my former students is here, right over here this morning, all grown up and doing wonderful things. You know, when I was told I was going to be speaking at your Celebrating Diversity breakfast, I started thinking to myself, you know, how do we discuss diversity? What do we mean when we talk about diversity? I saw someone earlier this morning receive an award from Gainesville, and it brought back a memory when I first started practicing law, when I first graduated from law school. I went to Gainesville, Florida with my supervising partner. If there are any recovering or reformed lawyers in the room, you'll remember when you graduate, yes, hands up, you remember those brutal days. It's terrible. So you go, you travel, you work with your senior partner, I'm the associate, and you know, on the days when they allow you out of the library, you travel around the country and toil and do all kinds of really not fun things. But I was very excited to go to Gainesville, Florida, and this was many, many years ago. And Gainesville is a different place today, but it was so interesting. The client that we were representing sent someone to, a fellow to pick us up from the airport, and this guy was really very, very proud of the work that he was doing for this company, and looked at me, and he said, "Are you a lawyer?" And I said yes. My supervising partner was a guy named Ira Rafelson. And he looks at Ira, and he looks up at me. As you can tell, I'm 6 feet tall, and I am wearing 4-inch heels. And he looks up at me, and he says, "You're a lawyer like him?" And I said, "Yes." And he said, "I have never met a black lady lawyer before." And I mean, I took no offense to it. He was really excited and thrilled, and you know, what a new place Gainesville was. And you know, and at that time we thought about diversity really in terms of black and white. But it's not, you know, when I started thinking about the speech, I realized just how much the way we think about diversity has changed and how much it means so many different things to different people. And how broad our own definition of diversity is, and how we value it, you know. So a few years ago, the National Center for Cultural Competence at my law school alma mater, Georgetown University, published a fact sheet for early childhood support services on how to teach young children to value and understand diversity. What I read is probably a good lesson for everyone. The fact sheet was created in the form of a self-assessment checklist. It is a bulleted list of examples used to create an environment where diversity is honored, valued, and celebrated. Some of the examples included, and I'm reading verbatim, recognize that family is defined differently in different cultures. Recognize that family of different cultures may have different expectations about developmental milestones such as walking, toilet training, feeding, etc., and different approaches to discipline. Consider celebrating not only traditional holidays, but also ones that are unique to specific children in your setting. And another one, even if all the children in your center are from the same cultural or ethnic group, create an environment and plan activities that reflect the diversity in the larger society. So I reference this list because there are many things mentioned that I believe we can use to ask questions as we look to grow and celebrate diversity initiatives within our own cities. There were many examples on that list that stood out for me whenever I think of how and what we can do to celebrate diversity. Does the place where we live and pay tax dollars recognize that family is defined differently in different cultures? Do the policymakers in the business, governmental, and educational institutions of our cities understand the needs of these families? Are we learning and growing from one another simply by celebrating cultural holidays every day? Are there visible examples where we live showing that we welcome and appreciate diversity in our schools, in our institutions, our businesses, and places of worship? Is the medical community sensitive to the growing needs of culturally diverse families who are struggling with developmental milestones and cultural misconceptions? Are there enough resources available in our cities to support families of children who are differently abled? Are our educational institutions truly supporting families of children who are different? Do businesses support neurodiversity by hiring those who have differently functioning brains, such as autism, ADD, ADHD, and dyslexia? And also, are we planning in our cities that reflect not just bike lanes and really cool transit systems and condominiums, but planning for the physically disabled and senior citizens as well? And finally, do the leaders and elected officials of our cities reflect inclusivity or exclusivity? Ladies and gentlemen, as we come together today and we celebrate diversity, we are also painfully aware that there are still institutions in this country where diversity is not championed. The latest Department of Justice report on the findings in the Ferguson Police Department are a perfect example of why racial diversity is needed both at the state and local level. The searing report revealed that racism was the central theme in many of the issues between the community and police. And I know racism is it's a difficult word, it is a hard word. If you read the report, there is no other word that you can use about the findings of what happened in Ferguson other than intentional racism. The investigation revealed a pattern of systemic violations based solely on race, all the way from unconstitutional traffic stops to the unnecessary use of force. And the very last subject header of the report details what I think is one of the most alarming reasons behind the racism inherent in the Ferguson Police Department. It's titled, "Ferguson's Lack of a Diverse Police Force Further Undermines Community Trust." Now, we understand how the opportunity for a community relationship to fully develop disappears when the citizens of a city are beholden to fear and mistrust by its own leaders. We know that urban growth is stifled when there is a lack of diversity. And another disturbing trend threatening to trample on our civil rights is the resegregation of public schooling. Now, 5 years ago, 2 school boards in North Carolina voted for a new school redistricting plan that essentially divided students based on neighborhoods of race and economic class. As Dr. Marian Wright Edelman wrote in an article she did for the Huffington Post addressing the issue of resegregation in our public schools, she said that the problem of racial resegregation in our schools is not good for anyone. It is critically important, she stated, that children of all backgrounds learn how to interact with one another productively. She also talks about how parents who hold on to the antiquated belief that sending their child to a diverse school is seen as a negative, as if the school is inherently inferior, are actually doing a disservice to their children. I went to a panel discussion where a woman who works for the United States Department of Justice Civil Rights Division within the education sector was talking about the relationship between education and what we saw happen to Trayvon Martin in Florida. And one of the most fascinating aspects of her discussion, which was something I had not heard other people mention, was that if you look in that area of Florida, whether it is self-segregation, some sort of purposeful resegregation in neighborhoods like where we saw Trayvon Martin killed. There are cities like that across the country where people have an inherent fear because children and adults are in no way accustomed to dealing with people of diverse backgrounds. So one of the ways that we can ensure that we don't have another Trayvon Martin is to do something about the resegregation of our public schools and our neighborhoods. Thank you. I heard a state legislator in Wisconsin who actually had the nerve to say that one could argue that money is more important to men than women. Yeah, that's what I thought. This state legislator was talking about why they didn't need pay equity in Wisconsin. I would venture to guess that all of the women who were struggling, whether married or not, in Wisconsin, in the area that he represents, to pay for their children, pay the mortgage, pay the rent, would say that he needs a lesson in diversity. In cities where people have this fear of Islam and are going to their cities to ask that Islamic homes and houses of faith not be allowed to be developed, need a lesson in diversity. Cities and states across the country that are stoking fears of immigration, as if immigration only impacts Latinos, do the nation a disservice and do their cities and their states a disservice by stoking really irrational fears, as well as they do us a disservice by failing to recognize that immigrants come from all over the world. I'm a first-generation American. My parents are immigrants from Jamaica. We all come to this nation and have made this nation as great as it is today. Thank you. So over the weekend, the nation celebrated the 50th anniversary of that famous march across the Edmund Pettus Bridge in Selma, Alabama, known as Bloody Sunday. Now, the march was a bold stand toward voting rights. And I have to do my regular pitch for anyone who has not seen the movie Selma yet. You must go and see it. It will stay with you forever. On the Bloody Sunday of March 7th, 1965, right on the evening news, and I must say I was not alive to watch it, but others were. I say that because my kids keep telling me how old I am. But you could watch it on the evening news. You could listen to it on the radio. You could read about it in the newspapers. You could visualize the pictures of what happened. And the immediate impact from that march was achieved by strategy, planning, and yes, believe it or not, diversity. Those who came out to march risked their lives because they believed that the words liberty, and justice actually meant something. They were from all walks of life, all races, all religions, ethnicities, sexual orientations, and economic and social statuses. They believed in Dr. King's eloquent words, "Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere." So watching today's foot soldiers for justice, black and white, Democratic, Republican, gay, straight, male and female, cross that bridge again over the weekend reminded us that our liberties are still being threatened. Voting restrictions have historically proven to be a successful way of ensuring voter suppression. States are now requiring photo identification, cutting down the hours of voting time so workers are forced to choose between staying at work or leaving to go in to work. If you are underemployed, if you are poor, if you are a member of what is becoming, I fear, a permanent underclass, standing in line for 7 to 8 hours to vote is a poll tax that only the rich can afford to pay. So just as 50 years ago that march shone a light on the attacks and protesters in Selma, we should now redirect our light on the injustices happening in states using poll taxes on American citizens. Another issue that is threatening our civil rights and diversity in our cities is housing discrimination. Civil rights advocates and attorneys are looking at how the Supreme Court will handle a major case in which the Inclusive Communities Project, a nonprofit group, anyone here from Texas? So you know the Inclusive Communities Project sued a Texas state agency for allocating tax credits to developers who want to build low-income public housing in disproportionately minority areas. Now, this might be news for some of you in other states. Although the lower courts ruled in favor of the nonprofit group, Texas appealed the case to the Supreme Court. Texas officials argue that the Fair Housing Act enacted in 1968 only forbids actions that discriminate because of race, and not actions that, get this, discriminate because of any factor that happens to be correlated with race. Now, we know that America is a great nation, but we are also a divided nation. Our ancestors and forefathers built this country and shaped it into something we could be proud of, a country our children could be proud of, and a country that no child should ever be afraid of. When wrongs and injustices permeate our landscape, we all work together to make America right, to make it safe. The enormous challenge of making this world better starts from the belief that we are required to step up and to lead. The places where we live, the cities and towns in which we live, work, own businesses, go to school, raise our families, must not reflect the hateful past of narrow minds. So before I close, I want to leave you with this. I believe that we are required to draw from our shared history, to remember our strength and power. To celebrate diversity is to celebrate progress. Anything else is regression of staled, unproductive, unresponsive policies. We need people like Dr. King today. We need people in the front lines who are willing to fight for the rights of all people and who are willing to say, as he once did, there is never an inappropriate time to stand up for social justice. We have a moral responsibility to engage in civil discourse. We have a moral responsibility to help one another. We have a moral responsibility to act, whether we are diverse by race, gender, sexual orientation, ethnicity, age, physical or mental differences, political party, socioeconomic status, or education. We have a moral responsibility to listen to one another, to listen to the other side, and to find areas of common ground. We haven't been so great at moving the ball forward at the congressional level, but with all of you here, I know that at the city level, we can move the ball forward. But we have to act now, and we have to act swiftly. History has shown us, our beacons, such as Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., have shown us that when we cling together arm in arm like a human chain, we are truly unbreakable. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Wasn't that wonderful? Now, we're all inspired to go back and make our communities better and to work hard to include everyone in public policy as a part of the community. Thank you all very much. Congratulations to the award winners. And let's go and greet our Commander-in-Chief, our President of the United States, Barack Obama. Have a great day and see you guys later today. Thank you again. Congratulations.